Hey everyone, sorry. I'll get started in just a second. It's a, interesting Saturday per usual. Okay. Sorry everyone. There we go. I was posting to all of my various social media places that I was going live. I normally have that ready before I start streaming. Today, I did not. Who do we have in the chat today? We have Odari in the chat. Hello, Odari. How are you? Odari is another streamer here on Behance. Daria, you streamed. Did you stream this morning? I saw you go live yesterday, but we were at my brother's graduation. We have Erin in the chat. Hello, Erin. You've been here before, right? That name sounds familiar. Your name sounds familiar, I should say. Dave is in the chat, my wonderful mod, and Axel is here, and also Adobe Live. Hello. I also saw Bliss went live right before I went live, so be sure to check Bliss out. Oh, Ryan Marsh is also here. Hey, Ryan Marsh. How are you doing? Ryan Marsh also sometimes, occasionally, very rarely, streams here on Behance. But Odari and Ryan Marsh both have subscriptions here on Behance, and you should be sure to check them out. Let me switch screens now. Switching screens. Okay, so we're gonna keep working on this. I'm gonna turn my music down because it's like blasting in my ears. I'm sorry. We're gonna try and finish this guy up. There's a random thing in the sky. I don't know where that came from. We'll have to search for that. But I'm very close to finishing this one up, and this was my goal to finish up on stream before Mermaid started. And then I got blown out of the water with a commission, and then Mermaid started, and I was a mess. So, a large ferret. Oh, Jack Watson is here. Hello, Jack. Jack is another streamer here on Behance with a subscription as well. Oop. There is a link to Jack's Behance profile in the chat. Odari says, I did a stream this morning and crashed twice. Oh no. I hate it when that happens. That's the worst, when you have to like restart a stream and you're just like, come on. Erin says, yes, I have been here before. I thought so. I'm sorry. Welcome back. Ryan Marsh says, haha, a large ferret. A large white ferret? Are you talking about the cat in the background? He's hanging out back there. He, me and Dave have a joke that he thinks he's all white instead of black and white because we have a white hamper that he always tries to like be like super incognito in. Erin is asking, have you made this whole drawing in fresco? I did. I have the background split out in a different file, so this is a flattened file, the background right now, but if I yank my layers over here, I have each of the characters grouped in their own layers. I have the background here, it's in a separate file, and then I have like this top part sectioned out so it can go over like the character's feet where it like crosses and stuff here. But yes, this whole thing was done in fresco. Alright, so let's come back here. Before I start, basically what I did the last couple of streams before I started my mermaid illustrations is I did the background outside of streaming. I got a brush set that I started to experiment with, and then I decided that I wanted to turn that into like a world setting based on like my Folktale Week illustrations. So I used my 3 characters here that I kind of came up with. We have the Moon Puff, the Sun Puff, and I made them a new grumpy older sister. She's a Star Puff, I guess. She needs her own paper craft now too. So what I worked on stream is I worked on adding them to this background that I created off stream. I have just some basic form, basic shading down on all of them. As you can see, we kind of like worked on like color palettes for them, how they were gonna look in the background without like melting them into the background, I guess. So we left off working on her, and I see that I made it through the skin and everything. And that's about as far as I got with her. So we're just gonna keep working on her. I got the hair done. We're gonna do some clothes on her, and then we're gonna add some lighting effects to the whole scene overall, I think. I haven't quite decided how I want to do that, but that is the goal. Before I start, I want to figure out where... There it is. Okay, so it's on her. I just don't know where. I've noticed Fresco does this sometimes. I don't know why, but it like puts something random out there. There it is. And I don't know why. It's done it a couple times. The first time it did it on stream was the first time I ever noticed it did it, and it was super weird. Okay. Coming back in the chat. See, Jack is saying, Odari, Mr. Stream this morning, was not feeling great, trying to recover from this day. It's been a week. I feel that. It's been a very short but busy week because like Memorial Day happened and everything in the US. And then my little brother graduated high school last night, and the commencement ceremony was 3 hours long. And we had to go from like where I live all the way out to like a different city to watch him graduate, and we didn't get home till like 10 o'clock last night after sitting in the bleachers and baking in the sun for like 3 hours, and I was absolutely exhausted. Sean is in the chat. Hello, Sean. Sean is another streamer here on Behance. Boop. Sean, I believe you have a subscription now too. I think I saw you post about that on Instagram. Aaron is saying very nice. Ryan Marsh is saying love this palette on this. Very chill. Thank you. And Bliss is here. Hello, Bliss. Bliss is also another streamer here on Behance. I gotta give everyone in the chat love before I, you know, really dig into this. Bliss also has a subscription here on Behance. How is everybody? It's good to see everyone. Sean says stickers. Yes, I saw it was your oh, what did you call it on Instagram? I can't remember. I did see it though. Your merch. Your Kosal, it's Kosal, right? Is that how you pronounce your last name? Merch? I tried. Okay, so let's stop flapping my jaw now. I'm gonna group her skin layers. It talked about adjusting. Okay, so we had talked about, I do remember this, adjusting her one eye so it's not, it's a little small. And then I had also talked about adjusting her eyes, which I think I already did, so I think they're good. They were a little off kilter because I was really bad about flipping the canvas while I was working on this. Let's make a new layer. We'll make it a clipping mask, and then see, I picked out some shading colors for myself here. I think what I was doing is I was using a big soft airbrush, I want to say. Yeah, that looks right. Sometimes it's really hard to like jump into a drawing after, excuse me, not working on it for so long. If anyone else has experienced that. So I'm just gonna add some real basic airbrushed shading to kind of put in some of this dark color. And then I've been using a nice textured brush to add a little bit of form to everything. Coastal merch. Sean says nailed it. Haha, I remembered something. Yes! Erin is asking, what brushes did you use in this drawing from Fresco? So, this brush set is actually one of Maddie Belwar's brush set, who is another streamer on Behance. Here, let me see if I can get the link really quick. Actually, I've been meaning to add this to the description link, and I keep forgetting. Just give me 1 second. It is her children's book illustration brushes that I'm a big fan of. Also, if you hear some very loud sounds in the background, it sounds like somebody's doing work either outside or downstairs in our apartment, and they're being extremely loud. Okay. There is a link to the brushes for anyone who is interested. I'm gonna add this to my description really quick. I don't know if it'll actually update live, but there is everything. Sorry about that. Making sure I got those brushes. So that answers Erin's question. It is a paid brush set, but they're really nice. They're super great, and I really like all the textures and stuff. It's just a very nice look, I think. Everyone is calling you Maufu? So I'm gonna go with that pronunciation for now. But hello, they say hello everyone. Daniel is in the chat too. Hello Daniel, how you doing? It's been a while. Daniel says, cool illustration, thank you. Bliss is saying that happened to me too during the stream. Sarah, like some type of work being done from a neighboring apartment. It's such a struggle. It is such a struggle sometimes. Apartment life, right? Okay, so let's do the same thing to our pants down here before I get too carried away with any kind of like big shading. I'm gonna need to do her boots too. Let's just do it this way. We'll start with her pants since I already switched my color. Okay, so just some very soft shading like that in there. Mafu is saying, that's the nickname Sean gave me. Okay. That is, fair. Dave is asking, so do you go by, Fujisaki-san? And Mafu is answering, no one has ever called me that, but you are welcome to call me by that. That's fair. Thank you, Bliss. Erin is asking if I have the free version of Fresco. I can't download the brushes, can I? And Bliss is answering, you can't import brushes with the free version. However, you can follow public profiles when you go to discover new brushes and go discover new brushes from add brushes. Sorry, that was a lot to like read and try and say at the same time. Okay, let's hide this top layer here. Oh, thank you for the follow, Sashwat. I think that's how you pronounce that. Can use my little buttons. Thanks for the follow. Did I pick? I think I picked the wrong color. That's weird. Did I do her boots? Oh, I did. Okay. There we go. That's why that was so funky. Okay, back to our soft brush. Sorry about that. Actually, let's clear this so that's not so dark right off the bat. Catching back up on the chat. Sorry. Bliss is answering all of the questions about Fresco and how to download brushes. Thank you very much, Bliss. Mafu is saying, Sarah, if you'd like to call me by my nickname, you are welcome to. I'm assuming that's your nickname, right? The Mafu? Sa is in the chat. I think that's how you pronounce that. They say hi. Hi. Welcome to the chat. Ojaria is confirming Maddie's brushes are amazing. They are. They really are. Hers are some of my favorite that I use. Hers and Kyle's, and then there's like a set of hair brushes that I bought from ArtStation that came with like painting brushes as like a free gift, and those are probably some of my favorite too. Ryan Marcia saying, oh, Sarah has buttons now, haha. Come a long way from the Rickroll jelly donut advert in the background. Yeah. We now pay for Spotify, so there's no toilet paper ads. Or jelly donut ads. That's funny. I'm so glad you remember that, Ryan Marsh. That was like when I was still really on the fence about streaming, and I was like, I don't know if I want to pay for this. Okay, so there's some kind of weird hard line happening in the background here. I don't know if anyone can see that. And I don't actually remember that being there the last time that I worked on this. It also sort of looks like a layer might be missing back there. So I'm gonna have to figure that out and maybe re-import the background. Over here looks okay, but then when we get all the way out here, there's like that really hard line back there. I don't know, I probably goofed something up. There's also just like a random brush right there. I don't know what I did. Bliss is saying, I have some of Maddie's brushes. I mostly use her soft airbrush. That is until I discovered the airbrushes and the legacy brushes from Photoshop. Are they different from what's like in the current brushes in Photoshop? I don't think I've ever noticed a difference with the airbrushes. Okay, I believe now from here I was using this big soft watercolor painter because I like the way that that looked. With like adding a little bit harder of a shadow to everything. And it has like some light texture on it and doesn't give you like a hard shadow. It's probably not the intended use for this brush at all, but it's working for this style that I'm going for, so. That a little bit smaller. She's so grumpy looking, I love her. See, Izat is in the chat and they say hi, very, very good. Thank you. Thanks for popping in and joining my stream. Checking this out. This is probably one of my favorite illustrations that I've worked on in the past like 2 years, so I am glad you think so. Right, and Marsha's saying it was funny. You die doing your thing and then some crazy random advert would play. Yes. I think the toilet paper one was probably my favorite, I'm gonna be honest. And I would always just be like, sorry, I'm not paying for Spotify yet. Excuse me. Ooh, I'll have to go back and watch that, Bliss. So I didn't actually have like a good version of Photoshop until probably like 2014. I had Photoshop Elements before that, and then I would just use like my school's like Photoshop. I think we're gonna have to darken this belt color just a little bit. So let's do that. I think I had left that dark on purpose. And then we can kind of darken this a little bit to counteract that, because I don't want it to blend with her shirt too much. Oh, Bliss is saying, there are some really fun brushes in the Legacy Photoshop brushes. I demonstrated some of them today, and that's why I was saying I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. But I didn't have like that old version of Photoshop to like experiment with a lot of brushes. I just had Photoshop Elements. And I didn't even know how to use like Illustrator way back when. I actually really hated Illustrator, and now it's probably, Fresco and Illustrator are probably my favorite programs from Adobe. I remember the butterfly brushes. Oh my gosh, maybe I do remember this. Okay. Bliss says there's a butterfly brush in the Legacy Photoshop brushes, Sarah. You would love that. I feel like I remember those. Those came with the Photoshop Elements one. And I was obsessed. I had to be like, oh, probably like 12. I was obsessed with using those. I do remember them. That's so funny. Okay, so I'm a liar. I do remember the brushes. I just didn't realize I remembered the brushes. I'm gonna switch to her pants really quick. There is somebody in the chat whose name I do not know how to pronounce, but they say, wow, beautiful. Thank you. I'm glad you like my illustration. Thanks for coming to my stream, hanging out. Ojari's agreeing, I dig the butterfly brush. And Daniel says, I have a brush overload. Way too many brushes. There's no such thing. Dave is agreeing. I actually, I get really, like, goofy about my brushes sometimes, and I'll have to unload them. So that way I can, like, keep track of the brush set that I specifically want to use for something that I'm working on. Especially if I like step away from a specific drawing and I'm using a specific brush set for those, and then I come back to it and I can't remember, like, what was I working on? I don't know. What brush set was I working with? I don't know. So I feel that, the brush clutter, and you're just like, there's so many options to choose from, and now I'm overwhelmed. Jack is saying, I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that. Pretend you didn't hear what? I feel like I fell behind on the chat. Was it the butterfly brush? Oh, you're just like of Illustrator. Illustrator is now my favorite program. Like, that and Fresco. So, listen, old me is a thing of the past. She doesn't exist. I just didn't understand how Illustrator worked. That was the problem. I had never used it before, and then I got forced to use it in college on a project with Scott Lagan, I think. And I remember being very upset because I could not wrap my head around, like, not painting and, like, using paths and layering paths and blending paths. And I had to, like, sit in with him, like, specifically, and he had to, like, re-go over his lesson with me because I was not getting it. Daniel says, just my opinion, too many choices can make things difficult. No, I agree with that. I very much agree with that. It's good to have, like, a wide selection to choose from, but I think it's better to narrow that selection down a little bit. So that way you're not trying to, like, use too many brushes. Especially if those brushes, like, do different things and you're trying to mix them and they don't mix well. Okay, let's go back to our dark gray color. Go back to the boots. Bliss says I'm gonna start creating folders specifically for that. I'll put them out of the ordinary brushes I use in a folder so that I can come back to it for a particular project. That's actually a really good idea that I never thought to do. It's really smart, actually. And then we have Azharul in the chat. I always struggle with pronouncing your name, and I apologize. And I feel like I probably pronounce it different every time I see you. And I'm sorry. But hello, and thank you for joining my stream. They're laughing. Daniel says, or waste an hour trying to figure out which brushes to use, only to discover that you can do most things with the soft round brush. Yes. The soft round brush has actually been almost completely replaced for me by the smudge tool. Almost. The smudge tool and I were in love. Don't tell Dave. I actually hated the way that the smudge tool used to work in Photoshop, and I feel like at some point in life they changed it and then smudging became like super popular. Dave. Okay, so I'm gonna add a nice darker color, since this is like the sole of her shoe, the underneath. And I mean, technically, if this was like a real illustration, this would probably have some texture and stuff to it. A real illustration. It's not a real illustration, guys. If it was like a real boot and not like a cartoony boot, is what I was trying to say. Whew. Let's give this a nice save. Okay, so let's come back to my textured brush that I was using, which I believe is just the soft pastel, and I think I added some gouache every once in a while. See, Ryan Marsh says, I literally only use the pencil in Fresco to sketch. I need to explore the other brushes. The pencil is actually my favorite sketching tool in Fresco. I'm gonna smudge some of this, I think. That was too much. I used to use, I have the Jing sketch brushes, which you guys have probably seen like ads for and stuff. And I still use those, but that used to be like my favorite sketching utility, I guess. And I still use it in Photoshop a lot, but Fresco's pencil tool is like my favorite thing to sketch with. And I also really enjoy that you can like tilt the Apple Pencil and get like some different results. And like fills and stuff. Juan, is that how you pronounce that? Is in the chat, and they say this is beautiful. Thank you. Ryan asked if they have a potato stamp brush. No, but you could probably make one with Adobe Capture. Do it. That's your new goal, potato brush stamp. Daniel's saying, that said, I've made a ton of brush stamps which have come in handy. I will also make like stamps sometimes to use instead of like actual brushes. I did like a lace one that I'm probably going to give to my subscribers. I just keep forgetting that I have it. But it's just like a nice like lace stamp brush. And I used it for, I did like a Sailor Moon fan art that I do, and if anyone ever saw like the 90s Sailor Moon cartoon, anytime they had like a moment, I guess we could say, there was always lace in the background, so that's why I made that and like included it. So Rule is asking why I keep my profile a cartoon. I'm actually thinking about updating her again. She's just a little cartoon me. I just like her. I also think she represents what kind of art I like to do. And on Behance, I would rather have my profile be something related to the art that I do rather than like a profile picture of myself. So I feel like people don't really come here to see me specifically, like it's not like Facebook or like Instagram. Smudge this out. I like this, this adds like some texture down here. It's probably hard to see because it's such a dark color, but it adds like a nice grainy smudged out texture that keeps like these shadows from being too harsh, and then I can push them and like shape them how I want. Oh, Darius says I agree. The pencil tool is best for sketching in fresco. It really is. Like, I'll probably never use anything else ever again, aside from that pencil tool to sketch. Ryan Marsh is asking, did she have the cat headphones once? She did. Long time ago, and then the cat headphones failed me. I was so sad about those headphones. I used to have like really big pink cat headphones that had like little ears that like lit up and everything. But those have like some kind of weird known issue where like they just pretty much cease functioning properly and they won't connect to your audio. They are having all kinds of problems in OBS. And I thought that issue would be resolved when I got like my new desktop because my laptop had to be like 7, 8 years old or something like that. No, the issue was not resolved. Okay, so I feel like this is a little too, just a little too dark in here. I'm gonna go over this with a very soft airbrush. Make that nice big. I'm just gonna lighten that up just a smidge. That might have been a little too much. That's a bit better, I think. I don't want to lose it. Okay, we'll go back to that dark color. I think this is the brush I was using. Yes. Yeah, Dave is confirming they were so buggy we had to replace them. They just, midstream, my volume would just cut out. And it was so frustrating because I was like, okay, I don't want to keep like coming into the stream. This seems a little too dark too. Let's, no, instead of redoing all of that, let's take this down to like a 50. And I'll just cut back into that a little bit with a lighter color to prevent it from being so dark. Ryan says they were like your trademark, and Bliss says those were so cute. They were, but they just didn't work. Aaron is thanking everyone for helping with the brushes. Bliss is the real MVP with that. With telling you how to load them, because it probably would have taken me a second to figure out how to tell you to load them. Sometimes in Fresco I forget how to load the brushes and I have to think about it. I don't know why. Yeah, Dave got me, so not that you guys can see, but he got me a pink mouse, and I have, I mean you can see, I don't think this is gonna reach. No, it's not gonna reach. I have a pink mug warmer, I have a pink keyboard. Bliss, I was reading Bliss's name when she said no problem. I was trying to say Dave. Yeah, Dave tried to get me like all the matching stuff, but the headphones were just an alas. I could. Jack says you could always try to DIY these with some cat ears. I had like these, if I can reach them. I had these Sailor Moon cat ears that I got for Halloween. They're just like, they go on. They're like, I know they're really tiny, but they're like fuzzy. They're like, I feel like they're more for like a costume rather than like add-ons to the headphones, so. Sorry, Dave. Dave says, Bliss, you are now me. I feel like I should try to DIY some cat ears on these. add some more texture over here. That looks really nice in the gray. It's like a good amount of texture in there, I think. I should try to like figure out how to DIY some with the Cricut. Maybe like cover them in like some vinyl that'll match this headset. I could try to like cover this headset in vinyl too, since vinyl's removable. Oh, there's downstairs again. You guys probably can't hear that, but it's very loud. It sounds like they're like drilling something or like hanging stuff up on the walls. Let's take this guy. See if we can cut back into that a little bit. Oh, that might be it. Dave is saying, I think it's because you're right next to the window. They might be opening their big window in the living room. That's true. We have like big picture windows. That might be what they're doing. It's very loud, whatever it is. Okay, so let's take this highlight color. I don't actually remember. I guess I did do this pastel brush. I was trying to see how I did this highlight color. Let's turn this down to 50 so it's not super abrasive. Dave, oh no, it's drilling. Definitely drilling. Okay, that looks pretty good. Ooh, let's come back down. I forgot about her boots. Need to come back down there. Might need to darken this a little bit. Just a smidge. Oh, it might also help if I was on the correct layer. Okay, let's go a bit darker with this. Take this one. This one. So good. This brush. Still textured. Isn't gonna do like a solid flat color. But we'll change like the color of the soles here on her shoes. Oh, okay. Dave says they also do in fact sell kitty ears to attach to your headset. They're like $20. The more you know. Y'all see me next week with some kitty ears back. You can all thank Ryan Marsh for bringing up this conversation. And making me want the kitty ears again. If he's still here, I don't know if he's still here. He's just trying to make a funny. Alright, so we are going on roughly 3 o'clock. If anybody has any questions or anything, please let me know. I'm about halfway through my stream. Okay. So for her boots, for the shiny part, I might be inclined to use that gouache brush that I was just using, which has a little bit harder. It's just a little bit harder of a brush. So if her boots were like leather, this would make a little bit more sense. Cut right back into them. Okay. Bliss says Ryan Marsh came back to streams going down memory lane. It's true. Ryan Marsh says it sounds like a serious documentary. Sara Mapes, How I Got My Kitty Ears Back. It's funny. Okay, we'll do the same thing with the belt. Although I think we're going to be a little bit... We're not going to use that same super bright highlight color. Just because her belt would technically also be leather. I put a small highlight through here. Okay. I got through doing that a lot faster than I thought I would. Keep the, I think we'll keep the squash brush on the necklace. I think that's what I was using. Nope, that seems too dark. Switch back to that watercolor painter and see if we could like blend this out just a bit. There we go. Come on. There we go. Sorry, the touch was being finicky. Save that. Okay. So this star here, let's clean up some of this. That's my hand lotion falling off my desk, sorry. Let's group some of these layers so we can clean them up a bit. Please go. Thank you. Logan is here. Hello, Logan. How are you today? Logan says hello. Thanks for popping into the stream. Stephen Booth is here. Hello, Stephen Booth. Stephen Booth says hello. Sorry I'm late. I got caught up in watching a truly awful film on Netflix. Seriously, so bad. It was so compulsive. What was the film? Just out of curiosity. Maybe I can stay away from that then. No worries at all, Stephen Booth. How are you today? Okay, so let's group that. These stars, I don't know where I put these stars on her clothes. Oh, I wonder if that's part of the line art, actually, that I did. It is. Okay. So let's actually take these out of the line art. I'm just going to take that whole section. I'm going to copy it. Actually, let's just duplicate that selection. We'll pull that down into her grouping. And then let me actually see this for a second. I'm gonna hide the background and then I'm gonna hide her so I can just erase these stars because I decided I don't like. Oops. I don't like them. Well, I like them. I just don't like the way that they necessarily looked. We will close that line up in a minute. Let me just get the rest of this erased. Used a lot of brushes on this, I have to say. Okay, I'm gonna come out of there. The clean sketch, just gonna do that. And then while I'm in here, let's lock onto this layer really quick. And I just want to darken the lines that I have on this shirt because they're not very visible. So let's unhide her. That's much better. I try not to rely too heavily on line work in my drawings, but I do like to have a little bit of it. It's kind of the style that I've developed over probably like the past year. And I don't want it to not be visible. Let's do that. Actually, I'm going to need to I closed that line up and I shouldn't have because I want the star to go over the line. Same down here. I didn't realize. Is that part of... Yes, okay. Sorry, everyone. Stephen Booth says, answering my question saying interceptor. Daniel saying, this movie is terrible. Continues to watch movie. I've done that before, okay? Sometimes you just can't stop. You just gotta know how it ends. Logan is saying, new to Behance and newish artist. What program is this? Dave answered Adobe Fresco. Yes, that is correct. This is Adobe Fresco. And Logan says, never heard of Adobe Fresco. So it is available on the iPad, some Windows devices, and your computer now. And it is a very nice mobile painting program. Let me unhide my, not that. Let me unhide my background really quick. It is super nice. It is similar-ish to Photoshop in the fact that you can paint and everything, and it works the same way that Photoshop would in painting. It just doesn't have as much as like the full version of Photoshop would. It kind of just cut out all of like the extra stuff, and it has like the important stuff for painting and illustrating. And it has animation, and it's a super cool program, and you should check it out. Okay. That's fair. Logan says, no, Google devices. That explains a lot. I own 0 Apple devices. I didn't either until they announced Illustrator for the iPad, and then I saw how Fresco worked, and then I really wanted an iPad, so here we are. A year later. Yes, yes, Daniel. Daniel says praying that somehow the movie redeems itself so you don't feel like you've wasted your time. Yes, that is correct. And then Stephen Booth is explaining the movie in chat, but I've missed so much of the chat about the movie that I'm not going to repeat all of it because it is a lot. But it sounds interesting. But if it's bad, I'm definitely not interested. Okay, I'm gonna relock my line art layer so that way I don't accidentally draw on it, because I'm really good at doing that. We'll come back in here and let's just make a new layer really quick. I'm gonna fill it with gray. Pixel's fine, doesn't matter. I hide this line art layer, and I just wanted to see what I need to erase on this star layer, because I did pick up some of like the extra stuff that I didn't need. Don't need any of this. Okay, so let's duplicate that layer again. I get rid of that. I'll unhide this layer. If I could draw on the proper layer, that would help my cause. Okay, so those are on 2 separate layers now. We can delete that gray layer that I just made. So she's back. We'll unhide the line art layer so she can have a nose again. That was kind of funny. I'm like, why does she look funny? Oh, I've hidden the line art layer, that's why. Rob is here. Hello, Rob. How are you doing? Thanks for popping into my stream today. Trying to catch back up on the chat. Ryan Marsh says, yep, same. I got an iPad when I saw Illustrator was announced for it. Yes, I lost my mind. I was so excited. That's fair. Logan says, I still have the student account. I got to use it. I still have it for another year. Yeah. Bliss is saying, Fresco is free to use, so you'd be good even if you didn't have the student account. And Logan saying, oh, that is correct. Fresco is free to use, and it's fantastic. So definitely check it out if and when you're able. Daniel is saying, I've been using Fresco on my PC lately. I have yet to actually try it on my PC. Okay, there's that. I mean, I've opened it on PC, I just haven't, like, in-depth played with it. So I kind of wanted to overlay this. That's what I want to do. On her shirt. And then we'll bring this down a little bit. So it kind of picks up some of that shading underneath her shirt. Just a bit. And then I can also lock onto the pixels on this layer, and I can kind of take that color, drop my Apple Pencil, that's fine. And I can kind of play upon that just a little bit. Can make that a little bit darker. Just so the shirt looks like it's part of, or the star is part of her shirt a little bit more. Didn't mean to do that, sorry. And then for these ones, I might just turn down the opacity just a little bit. I don't think we need to add a blending mode to those. I'm afraid if we do multiply, yeah, they'll kind of disappear. I could do overlay on those too. That looks kind of cool, actually. Okay, we're gonna stick with that. I don't know. Oh, this line. Here, I believe, yes. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's give that a nice save. Scrolling back up. Bliss says, and if you want to subscribe to it after the student time is up, it's like $9 a year. And Logan is saying, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So, and Bliss is saying, so you'll win either way. True. Yes, Stephen Booth is saying, yes, Fresco is free, but if you have Creative Cloud, you get extra functionality, like you can directly import brushes. And Daniel says, I think it functions better on the iPad, but yeah, you can use it on Windows. I kind of figured since it was like a mobile thing to begin with. And Logan is thanking everyone for the advice and the info and stuff since they're new to Adobe. That's fair. You gotta come to learn things, right? You can't just know on your own. Thank you, Bliss. Bliss is throwing some links in there. And Logan is asking what is Express and Dimension. So Bliss linked Express, and it's just like social media posting. If you've ever used like Canva or something like that, it's kind of the same concept. it's just a quick mobile way to make like social media posts or like ads or banners, stuff like that. I mean, you can import all your own stuff to it too. And then Dimension is like a 3D mockup tool. So that's like mostly for making like mockups of 3D models for like branding and stuff, or I did like a bunch of stickers that I have on my Etsy shop, and I got like 3D models of water bottles that were free and like attach the stickers to those so it looks like my stickers are on a water bottle without me actually having to make the stickers to put on the water bottle. Ah, Jack just answered as well. Thank you, Jack. Okay, what is this set to? Because this seems a little bright. That purple in her hair, we're going to bring that down just a little bit. I want it to be there, but I want it to be a little bit more subtle. Okay, so let's hide that. I have this little adjustment layer on here so I can see my values, which I should have been using a little bit more than I was. I think everything looks pretty good, to be honest. Her clothing is a little dark, but they all stand out from the background pretty good in black and white. So I think we're good there. I think we can probably get rid of that now. We don't need it. Get another save. I am going to move my color palette. Get rid of that guy. I'm gonna move my color palette all the way down here so it's not deleted, but it's kind of out of the way. This is my line art, right? Yes. Okay. Last order of business that is bothering me is this belt buckle here. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Just want like the very top of this so it looks like it's being cut off by her shirt without like too much. You know, that's fine for now. Oh, it's because I have it locked to transparency. Duh. Yes, I just dudded myself, don't mind me. Okay, give me this color. I'm just gonna make some small adjustments through here so it looks like this belt buckle is going under her shirt because it kind of looked like it was going over it before. I think we need to use this dark gray color on that, which is part of the issue. Yeah, okay, that was really sloppy, but that solved my issue pretty good. Okay, so this belt buckle that I did is on this layer. My classic pastel, I think. I just want to give it a little bit, just a little bit of shading. So it's not, I realized that was probably too much. So it's not sticking out too bad. There we go. Bliss says value check. Yes, I'm really bad at that. The value checks. I don't know why. The value checks I'm pretty bad at, and then sometimes I'm really bad with flipping my canvas, but I've gotten a lot better with that lately. Let's save this really quick, and I'll show you guys kind of what I was talking about. This one, I was really good at flipping it at first, and then when I got like down into coloring, that was a hiccup, sorry. I got worse with flipping it. It's gonna take a second because it's a bigger file. So So this is what I was talking about before. Her eyes are kind of like, she's kind of like, I don't know how else to explain it, but other than she's making that face that I just put in the chat is kind of what she looks like. And then her eyes I fixed, but they were really bad before. They were like crooked. So I'm gonna have to fix her eye, and I don't think I'm gonna do it on stream because I think it's gonna be too much to like yank the file apart and then fix it. And I'm really just gonna take like, you know, maybe not. Okay, let's go down this road. Let's try. So we flip the canvas, we can see. I really think I just need to bring this area down. But the issue is that this is on several different layers. So we'll have to hide those. We'll have to hide the pupils. We do have the liquefy tool, so that might make my life a little bit easier. Just zoom out a little bit. If we can hide that for a second. Oops. I'm not gonna do this on stream. I'm not gonna do it. We're gonna go down this road. I feel like that's better. Her pupil needs to be adjusted, obviously. Or her pupil, her iris, her pupil, like the color of the eye is what I'm trying to say. Logan is saying, or hold on, let me back up. Bliss is saying, I rarely flip my canvas, but I will do a value check. Flip your canvas, do it, do it! Jack says, I relate mostly to the salty character in the back. Same. I'd like to think I'm as happy as her and as carefree as her, but I am 100% this girl. Just crossing my arms, being grumpy, and walking along. Logan is saying, I love the coolness. It's so pretty. Thank you. I really love these colors. This is like my jam with this color palette, so. Okay, let's unhide that. I think we really only need to adjust that one part, so it shouldn't be too bad. I have no idea what brush I used for this, so we're just gonna use this one. Rob's putting a funny face. Bliss says, yes, use Liquify. That's what it's there for. As you can tell, I'm excited for Liquify. I'm also really excited for Liquify, and I used it to fix a sketch the other day where I saw the same thing happening after I zoomed out. I was like, whoa, her eyes are like so weird. Why did I do that? And I totally like put them on their own layers so I could like really fiddle with them and then adjust it with the Liquify tool. However, I think I'm going to be a little bit more careful about how I adjust this. We're going to duplicate these layers. And then we are going to put this, we're going to put them each on their own layer. Sorry, that was me double checking to make sure I wasn't doing a bad. Okay, so now she still has two eyes. We're not going to worry about the eye shine right now. So the liquify tool that we were talking about, I'm going to use it really quick. We'll do this. It'll kind of like, I'm in a clipping mask right now, so like you can't really, like that's all it's going to do. But it'll kind of like scoot around. Done. It'll kind of like scoot around the color and stuff. But I think we can kind of just get away with doing, I'm going to hide that really quick. Oh, that looks so weird right now. Just gonna take that color and I'm gonna fix just a little bit. Okay, clearly my brush was way too big. Just gonna adjust over here a smidge. I might be inclined. Just gonna duplicate that. Okay, so I just merged that. I made a copy and I merged it. So that way I don't have to keep fiddling too much with it. No, actually, I think it was okay where it is. I think we're good. Let's delete that. Rob says, you and Jack are always so fun on stream. It's hard to imagine you both as a salty girl. But Jack says, LOL, it's funny because you're, my mom says, you're always so happy on your streams. Listen, we're just actually grumpy all the time. No, not really. I think I have a very bubbly, fun personality. I just am slightly grumpy. Okay, so coming up here, I tilted this, and I'm not really sure why I tilted this. I think that's fine. I need to look at the other eye really quick. Yeah, this one just needs scooted over a bit. Nudge it. Deselect. Same with this guy here. Kind of rotate it. We'll scoot this over while we're at it. Okay, let's zoom out. Okay, so I think that looks much better. It's not perfect. It could probably, like, I could probably make that whole eye a little bit bigger, to be honest. Like, just a little. Okay, let's give it a try. Just small editing things. That's not what I meant. Sometimes I mix duplicate and delete up. I don't know why. So then I'm gonna have to duplicate this whole thing too. Little button, please work. Thank you. You see, I just accidentally ripped my clipping mask out and I didn't mean to. There we go. Bliss says, I think the fun ones can be the crustiest people sometimes, Rob, mostly because of our expressive faces. That's true. I have been told many times that I am not good at hiding how I feel. Many times. Like, especially when I'm angry. I've been, like, especially when I tell people, like, I'm not angry, and then I get called out because I'm angry, and they're like, you're definitely angry, and I'm like, no, I'm not angry, and I have, like, the meanest look on my face that I can't undo. Catching back up on the chat, Steve says you have this interesting manga meets Disney style. Seriously, I mean this as a compliment. Oh, thank you. I hope you like it. I really like it. This is kind of like my developed style over the past year. I was one of those kids that started out, you know, drawing anime or manga because that's just what was available to me, or interested me, I should say, when I was younger. Thank you. Stephen Booth says I like it. Thank you. Everyone's laughing at the term crusty. Bliss's laugh is very contagious. Rob is saying that Bliss's laugh is contagious. I 100% agree with that. You have a very button, please. A very contagious laugh. Why is this doing this? Okay, you know what? Whatever. You're fine. Okay, so goal finally reached. Sorry, that took like 15 minutes of my time. Okay, so now, there we go. We have a random dot up here that we have to fix. I think it's on this layer. It is not. Little dot, where are you from? Okay, everyone sees this little itty bitty dot here, right? I'm gonna come back out here. So when I transform, I don't understand why it's so big. Like, why does it like look like it's counting that dot? Whatever. You know what, whatever. It's fine. Just having a time. Anyhow, my goal here was to make this a smidge bigger that way. That might have been a little too much. Okay, let's see how this eye looks now. I think it looks good in this perspective. It's still a little small. Actually, let's just try to make it a little bit bigger. I don't want it to be gigantic. I'm having a hard time finding like a happy medium with it. That's probably good. Bliss says there are 2 dots. Great. Are there 2 dots? I didn't see it. Oh, now there are 2 dots. I'm gonna have to do an investigation as to where those came from. Steve says, I unfortunately have to run. Also, I like the way you are using replication for time saving on details. Thank you. Some of them, yes. Some of them. Also, Steve is also asking, how big is your canvas? I don't remember. 18 by 12 is how big I made this one. I don't know why I chose that. I'm gonna be honest with you, that's really big. I started this probably 2 months ago, and I can't remember the specific reason that I made that, like, it this big. Daniel is saying the stray dot, the bane of the digital artist existence. It's true. It's very true. Steve says inches as opposed to pixels. That's interesting. I think that's because I come from a production background with like a lot of print-based art. And I think in inches a lot. Or picas, unfortunately. Okay, back to flipping the canvas. Let's save this one more time. And then I'm going to go on a hunt for those dots. And then with the last half hour of my time, Steve says at 300 DPI. Yes, at 300 DPI this is set, I believe. It could be at, I might have made this at 72. Oh, save has failed. Okay. The background is flattened, by the way. Bliss says, I've considered using inches over pixels. That way my DPI would have more meaning, lol. It's stuck in my brain this way. For now. That could change. Okay, so that's changed. Oh, no, you're fine. Steve says, I'm sorry to be a pain. Thanks for putting up with my questions. That's okay. Insufficient storage on the iPad. That is the first time I've ever run into that in Fresco, just for the record. This should technically be saving to my cloud, so I don't know if our internet just got wonky. I would think it didn't. Bliss says, what? Yeah, I don't know. The background is... Okay. Save this to document. Please switch to iOS settings and app. Free up space. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that right now. I probably should. I've never actually seen that. Bliss says go to your settings. I don't have a lot saved on here. I'm also very not nervous about this. I have some stuff in my downloads I could probably delete that are like ebooks. I don't even know where to look for this. Storage. Bliss wants to know now. No, the app settings. I think your message said something about the app settings. iOS settings. Switch to iOS settings app and view iPad storage to free up space. Yeah, Stephen Booth is right. Yeah, no, Steve, you're probably correct. I mean, you are correct. You're not probably correct. Let me... Hang on a sec. It is a very big file. We can for the moment. We're gonna delete the background layer because it is saved separately. I've actually never run into this before. I could also make it smaller. I might have just picked like a... Oh, I get it. Okay. Stop arguing with me. It didn't start giving me trouble until we got to her face. Which I find interesting. Those two stray dots that put the file over the size. Apparently, those two stray dots. We can delete our color palette too. I know these are just small things. Let's unlock this. We could probably merge the layers and the groups on that. That looks like just a blank layer. Let's delete that. See what it says now. That I merged some of this. Nope. Oh, hey Rin, how are you doing? Bliss says you can export it as a PSD and save it to the files. Rin says how it goes. We're having a, I'm saving locally. It's just angry. Oh, that's true. Steven Booth says, also remember that Fresco saves the deltas so it can do the time lapse too. That's true. We could just delete this. I'm not afraid to delete any of the background stuff because that's saved as a different file. Bliss says check your Wi-Fi connection. Yeah, I've made a really big file on accident. I didn't realize I did this. Let's try to downscale it. Because it really doesn't need to be this big. I'm gonna lock the, Oh, 400, Sarah. I was drunk when I started this, y'all. Let's just go with that. I don't know where I got 400. I'm gonna guarantee you I tried to type in 300 and I typed in 400 on accident. There we go. Alright, so that's saved. Let's change this to 300 because it absolutely does not need to be 400. They're all on their own layers, so I'm also not worried about, Where's that random thing? Oh, it's on the line art layer. I'm not worried about, erase, deselect. I'm not worried about them, like, needing to be, like, the way that they're layered, they're all on their own layer, so I can re-drop them into that background, if that makes sense. Daniel says 300 DPI is so last year. All the cool kids are going with 400 DPI these days. 400 DPI for something that I'm probably never gonna print, everybody. I'm gonna make fun of myself about this. I'm going to make fun of myself for this for probably the next year, just so you all know. Like I said, I worked on this. I started this project like 3 months ago at this point, so I'm gonna guarantee you that I picked a really big size when I was sketching and then never downscaled it, and I promised you that the 400 DPI was an accident. I've accidentally also hit, like, at work when I have to do 300 DPI, I've hit 200 DPI before, and that's unfortunate when you have to fix that. Anyhow, look at that. It saved just fine. Okay, so that's saved. We are going to duplicate this again. We're gonna call this forest flat. Great. So that's a duplicated file of the original background that I did. And I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna see if I did the same thing to this one. Give me a moment. We can all laugh together. I did! Look at how big that is! That's ridiculous! Okay, so we're gonna make this... Actually, we're just gonna do 300 DPI for right now. There we go. And we're just gonna let it snap, and then I'm gonna flatten it, and I'm gonna change the size to match the people one. Bliss says LOL. I'm glad we discovered this together. This is funny. Rin is saying, I'm good, taking a break from packing boxes. Oh, did you move, Rin? Bliss says it's so funny how we discover how weird we did things after some time away, right? Like, why? I don't understand why I would have done that. Okay, let's delete that. I believe these are my characters. Yes, we're gonna merge those. We can delete the sketch. And then I think we can take all of this, literally all of it. Merge layers. We can delete this grayscale one that I did because this is a copy. I'm gonna save this guy. Well, we're gonna try to save it, and then I'm gonna change the size again to match that other one, which was 11 wide. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. Cancel. So it clipped like a pixel off of this, and I'm very unconcerned about it. Okay, so let's save that. We can come in here and we can duplicate the girls, and we're gonna rename this and call it characters flat, and I can flatten for fast purposes, since this is we can delete that. Ooh, their line art is not separated, so that could be an issue. We might have to separate that really quick. Oh, I didn't need 4. What a time to be alive that we just discovered that. Okay. So that is probably the only place where it's going to get funky. Oh, that's right. Rin says no, but I'll be relocating in August for school. That is very exciting. I agree with Bliss. Daniel says, don't you hate it when you've created a 19 by 20? 19 by 20. We're done today. That's it. I'm done. That was the... I can't talk. A 1920 by 1080 document and then discovered you've set it in inches. I feel like I've probably done that before. I have created, like, that was a really goofy one that I just created. I'm sure there was some reasoning that I had for that when I first started it, but for like the amount of work that I was putting in this, there was absolutely no reason for it to be that big. I can't remember. I wonder if when I was sketching, I just wanted it to be like super smooth sketch-wise. Yeah, I'm gonna merge that down. So all I'm doing now is I'm merging the line art with these characters, and I'm gonna drop them into the background so that way I can like fiddle with some of the lighting and stuff. And then I won't have to worry about file size. Yes, cancel lasso, Sarah. That's what I meant. Okay, can save that. Much better. I will probably drop... Yeah, let's open this. Again, sorry, I just went back and forth between files. I'm gonna copy these layers since they're flat now. And we can paste them. Oh, they're huge. They're giants now. Look at that. They're giants. Oh my goodness, please. Thank you. All right. Overall, this is why I left like the sketches that I did in this particular file. We can line them up roughly with where they were originally supposed to go. And I moved, excuse me, I had moved these two back a little bit farther, so I'm gonna leave them where they are instead of adjusting them to the spot like where that sketch is. Delete. Okay, we're at a much more reasonable file size. Please feel free to make fun of me in the future for doing that, because I don't know why or how I did that. Oh my goodness, 16,000 by 16,000? Woo! Bliss says, so this one time I was working on a project and I have no idea how my final images ended up being like 16,000 by 16,000. I have no idea what I did and when it started. That's what I'm saying with this. The only thing that I can think of is sometimes I will sketch on a really big canvas so it like looks super smooth. And then I will like, I don't need that sketch anymore, so I like throw that file out basically, but I also like keep the file. That's the only thing that I can think that I did is when I was painting the background and sketching, I had made it like super big and then like just never changed it when I like move forward. Daniel says, I've done it. How can it be this slow? I got 32 gigabytes of RAM. Oh, it's in inches. That is fair. Rob says Bliss was doing a mural. You were painting the side of a building. Okay, so we still have some dots in there. Let's go on her. I'm just gonna clean the dots up a little bit. Okay, saved. We can... There's a bush back here. I remember this bush. Let's copy. I remember this bush being a problem. I like put it in a place that I shouldn't have. Close lasso. Cut selection. Oh, I did add it to the background already. Okay. It's already back there. Okay, cool. We can merge the front of this now. So I've basically composited the characters and the background into one drawing. Or into flattened images, so that way I can play with the lighting and I can add some shading to like ground them to the ground under here, which was my plan for the last half hour of the stream. Except for then we discovered that I just wanted to paint like gigantic. Okay, so we're gonna group them. Characters. Call this foreground. We'll call this background. A lock layer. Lock layer. We don't need to worry about locking the group because it's a group. I'm going to set this to multiply. Now, the only downside is I do not have... Oh, I do have colors. Never mind. I'm a liar. It's absolutely a liar. Let's take... Do we want to do this basic airbrush? Yeah, we'll do this basic airbrush. So... Probably gonna need to go a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger than that. Basically, I want to ground my characters to the background so they don't look like they're floating on the background. And I'm going to do that by adding in this really rough shaded area that I'm going to smudge out and not make it look so rough and not make it look like incredibly goofy. Because it does not look fantastic right now. To play with the shape of the shadow a little bit, probably. Oops. Okay, so for right now that's good. It's way too dark. It needs cleaned up. Do the same thing back here. Also, I will just say, a lesson on like a side note, with we all know Fresco can now handle really big files up to a certain point. So Fresco did really good with that. Up until that point. Like, I got through that entire illustration without, like, it being a massive problem. I normally work at, like, a postcard size or, like, whatever the current screen size is. I don't normally work at, like, that large of a size. There's just no need to. Okay, so we set this to multiply. Bring that down a little bit. Yes. Daniel is saying Photoshop supports max pixel dimensions of 300,000 by 300,000 pixels per image, just in case anyone was wondering. That's too much. That is way too much. Bliss says my laptop would give up the ghost if I even thought about it. Yeah, yes, I think my computer would just set fire. Daniel says flipping horizontal should go a lot faster now. Yes. And Jack is saying, I mean, you could make a file that size, but you probably can't put anything in it. Yeah, no. Absolutely not. That's still a lot. Daniel says we deal with enormous raster images at work, but they are more along the lines of 20K by 20K pixels. So I have had a laugh at work a few times because, like I said, I deal with mostly print stuff at work. And every once in a while, we'll get this one client that sends us like photos to process. And the photos will literally be at like 80 inches by like 60 inches or something ridiculous. They'll be gigantic. And I'm like, why? You're printing this on like a pamphlet or a flyer or a book. It doesn't need to be billboard size. Like, why have you done this? Oh, it is 3:59. I did not realize it was that late already. Well, okay, so on that note, this is as far as I'm gonna get on this today. Thank you all for coming on this journey of massive documents in Fresco with me. That was fun. It was a great time. You all witnessed me do something really silly. On that note, here's the final illustration. I've got some shadows going. I need to ground them a little bit more to the background, and I would like to play with a little bit of the lighting effects on this, so I'm probably going to do that off stream. And then tomorrow I will probably work on something else because there's not enough of this illustration left to fill 2 hours. So on that note, go watch Jack Watson. She just started her stream. She will be on right after me. I just linked the wrong thing. There's the brushes I'm using again, if you wanted them. There's a link to Jack Watson. And I will see everybody tomorrow, working on something probably brand new. So, bye everybody. Thank you.